On this
Hey,
side, we're ready until we're waiting someone else. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
yes, I was muted. Sorry.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, okay.
Okay. Let me know when I can start with the presentation.
Did you share your screen, Jelena?
Yes.
I
You
can't
can
I can't see it.
We can see it here.
let me share it again.
Cool.
Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So will you be recording, Elena?
Peggy started
Okay, cool.
because I had some issues.
Alright, cool.
Okay.
All yours.
Great. Okay, this will be a little PowerPoint presentation about the workshop that Andrea and myself attended a few weeks ago. And it was one of the topics were responsive web design. So I will go through only that topic. This presentation is created by myself and Scott. And the presentation was by Vitaly Friedman, co-founder and editor-in-chief of Smashing Magazine, and it was organized by Dafed organization here in Novi Sad. So today we will talk about responsive typography, responsive icons, tables, what happens when we go from desktop to mobile, and user behavior on mobile devices, and some links and resources that I will share with you. Okay, so the next slide is a little bit about the history, and this is a picture from 1979 where the plan was all on paper, planned for a flight from Washington DC to London, and as you can see back then they had an issue how to present some simple, let's call it simple things graphically. And nowadays we have the same issue, but only on computers and desktop and mobile devices. So we have the same issue. But what is actually important for all devices and for all projects, the most important thing is speed, then access, then scale, like to be compatible with desktop or mobile devices, and like the cherry on the cake is style, and that will be a logo, brand, custom fonts, animation, and all these fancy things, but that's only in order to make it more appealing, but it's not the most important thing. So, responsive typography. As I started very quickly here, but maybe you heard, but that was a workshop only that lasted only 9 hours. So I will try to go quickly through all items that are related to the responsive design, and if you have any questions and if you want to go in details, please contact me. So, responsive typography. The challenge regarding responsive typography is actually how to present fonts on large screens, desktop, tablets, phones, laptops, and etc. So as you can see, we visually here the fonts are all the same size, but technically these are extremely different font sizes. For example, on a wall, here it's used like 542.4 points, and for example on phone is only 48 points. So how actually we are trying to achieve this, that's like a challenge for front-end developers and UI designers and all that actually care about font and font sizes. So Vitaly shared with us some research that they are trying to achieve. So here in the previous slide, let me go back. In the previous slide, the font size is defined by points, but here on this slide, they want to achieve some font size by some calculations. For example, to use pixels, to use viewport width. Here it's shown as YW. That's like some new size for the ones who are not familiar. So this is still in research, and it's related to the goal is to avoid breakpoints and to avoid using different sizes and calculate these different sizes on different screens actually. So to have the goal is to have only unique formula, and the formula will do the job. But this is still in progress. These are also some kind of calculations based on the previous formula, where they use actually RAM as a major measurement, RAM and EMS. But this is still in progress, and this is blurry image because he was telling this to us like off the record, and I just took a picture, like very blurry one, as you can see, and some parts are missing. For example, I'm not sure about if you noticed H1. I'm not sure what he meant by slope or Y intercept. I'm not sure what he meant about these things, but I will share with you later article which explains more about that fluid typography. This is also something experimental that they are doing with font sizes and with CSS3. With translations, transformations, and what actually can be achieved only using CSS and different sizes with different styles. So as you can see, this is very interesting to see some different approach. So this is article. That it is still in progress. CSS polyfluid sizing using calc, and it's not published yet, but the similar article you can find on Smashing Magazine. Actually, I did some research where he's telling us similar things as an intro that I told you like a minute ago. Another interesting project that was created a few years ago, it is actually calculating font size based on face detection. For example, if you are sitting close to your computer, the font size will be smaller, but if you step away from your computer, the font size of the text will increase. So I took a video yesterday of myself in order to show you what actually is happening. So let me go. It is very interesting too, and as you can see, the font size is changing when I'm close and when I'm far away from desktop. But in order to see the changing,
You're cute.
Thanks. But in order to see the font size changing, I managed only on Firefox. On Chrome is not working properly, but maybe you will manage on Chrome as well. So this is interesting to see, and maybe this is a future. So let me move to responsive icons. As you can see from this GIF that I borrowed from internet, from Google, how actually we should change the icons regarding devices. So as you can see, the icons are contains a lot of details when the screen is larger in comparison with smaller devices. So let me show you some example. Okay, this is the usage of icons instead of text. For example, the type of glasses. What glasses would you like to buy? Instead of having like the names of glasses in particular, you can just use icons. So this is like useful. Or, for example, shoes. What type of shoes would you like to buy? And instead of knowing the names of all types of shoes, you can just pick a shape that you prefer or not. Also the icons, as I showed you in GIF before, you should make them responsive. And here, as you can see, for larger screens, you have like Smashing Magazine, and you have icon, and you have all the necessary details. But on smaller sizes, you just have a recognizable icon and some symbols. But at least you know, based on color and based on shape, that okay, this is related to Smashing Magazine. Also, this is some logo from Argentina, and logo A is for larger desktops, but logo C is for smaller ones. And as you can see, details are here present, but here you don't have these kinds of details at all. The same situation is with Casemate. You have different types of the same actually brand, and with National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration from the US Department. Also you have logos with details and without details, but they are still recognizable. And this should be maybe even our goal. For I believe for PNCP, this is already achieved with PNCP logo. Fav Icons. This is just idea and example how they tackle Fav Icons in their in a useful way. For example, green is for production, and the red orange one is for example, development. So by seeing Fav icon, you will know, okay, which environment I'm using now. So this is something like maybe nice to have for our project, but it's not, of course, necessary. So what we actually learned about responsive iconography, we should simplify icons for clearer appearance, save some vertical space, choose larger icons or critical ones, and art direction and images can be critical too. Critical in the meaning of asking ourselves, do we need this? For example, do we need all these details on smaller icons or not? If we are, for example, decreasing the quality of the icon itself, maybe we should just avoid little details in smaller icons. So this is just an idea. Am I too quick? Okay, responsive tables. I believe guys from PNCP have a lot of issues with responsive tables. With our case on CCBill is not like that, but Vitaly showed us like few examples how we should tackle and the ideas of tackling the responsive tables. For example, here we see that titles on the desktop are on the top, but we have a totally different approach on the smaller screens. For example, we have just we switched the order of the table itself, and but we didn't hide anything. This is a table where we didn't actually hide anything. But for example, let me show you. Okay, this is also how we should tackle responsive table, and this is similar approach to this GIF or GIF image, where the title of all columns are on the top on the desktop screen, but for example in some different screens we can tackle it on the left. But here you see that nothing actually changed. Nothing is changed because all the tables are large. So, for example, the second table, flipped axis, is also not good for mobile versions, but because mobile screen will reach, for example, only Chrome, Firefox, and the browser. Let's call it the browser column. So this is not a perfect approach, but it is a good idea. Here they had a similar approach to the previous one, but they actually hid some data. And in order to fit the mobile version, but you can reach the data that you want by clicking on this icon. So it is like open discussion what to show and what to hide if you have a lot of columns. So it's okay, he told us, it's okay to hide something that you actually don't need on mobile. Not in terms of don't need at all, but it's not so important to be visible and to be shown on mobile, because in most of the cases, when user wants to see tables with a lot of data, they will, in like 90%, they will reach for desktop screens and larger devices, because it will be more appealing for them, and they will manage data easily. This is example of Swiss Airlines, how actually they tackled, and it's similar to the previous images. It's completely responsive, it's mobile, but what they actually did, they flipped the order of all table. For example, this cell, when you see on mobile version, it's here up on the top of the table, and these tabs are converted to a drop down. So although this is a lot this is a lot of like things that should be implemented, and it's like creating a new table from scratch, but this actually do a job, this approach. So we should have like in mind that we can we have a possibility to play with tables in the way that suits us. So for example, okay, I analyzed like this cell, they moved it to the top of the table, and the titles of each column is on the left and the data is actually on the right. And as you can see, everything here is visible. Everything is visible, but it's not in the same order. Actually, to achieve the same order, I believe it's not possible. This is example for from the CodePen, how actually they tackled the tables, and they actually just split them apart in order to show data that they think it's good. For example, this is if you let's discuss test flight number 3. The names of the columns are here as the light gray. So this is also one of the approaches how we can show responsive tables on smaller devices. So, what we actually learn about tables. So we should prioritize important columns, use steppers for navigation, visualize content, reposition headings. So one heading on desktop doesn't mean it should be on mobile devices, and adjust the level of fidelity, and extract content and redesign it. So although this is like a more expensive approach, nowadays they actually are trying to achieve this, and as you can as you saw in previous slides, Swiss Airlines already did. So what is actually user behavior on mobile devices, and how today actually this works? Let me show you. This is also some low quality image that I took, and this image shows us what actually user uses more more often than the other corners, for example, of the screen. For example, the green, let's call it circles, the green surface. The green surface is in the most usage. For example, in this example, if user uses the left hand, the same approach is, but you imagine that the image is switched if user uses like only the right hand. And research actually shows that users are using 90% only one hand when they deal with mobile devices. In like 10% they will use like both hands to deal something on mobile devices. This research is only related when they are browsing and when they are using some web content. Of course, if user is playing games on mobile device, or if user is texting message, probably probably these percents will change. For example, personally, I text message with the 2 fingers, and so I'm using left and right hand. But when I'm browsing, I'm using only right hand. So I'm in that 90%. So how actually we can use this? For example, the red surface is actually, if you want that user can do something with that, but don't force them to use that. For example, if so, usually the close button of the window is up here for applications, or for applications for something related to browsing, for commercials and etc. But here on the green surface, if you want that they log in or sign in or do something that is really important to you, you should put it here on this part, like the bottom part of the mobile device. Yeah, this is the image, and as you can see, this is like if we split the mobile device in 3 parts. So the first third is not used so much, but the action is actually here on the other second and third of the mobile device. So if you want some action, as a conclusion, if you want some action, don't put here important action buttons on the red surface. But if you want, otherwise, he actually advised us to use it on the green surface, and the yellow one is neutral. This is about, the scrolling, what is easy, what is okay, and the red one is like, okay, avoid it. But on tablet devices, the situation is completely different, because you have to use 2 hands if you want to work successfully with tablet devices. So here we can see what is actually easy and reachable, and what is not. So for responsive, in terms of responsive design, we should actually make a difference when we are designing for mobile and the different approach is for tablet and for desktop, because everything is not easy to achieve some action on tablet, and as you can see, there is a difference between tablets and mobile devices. So again, some blurry image because it's off the record. He showed us this application that he created with his team. It is related to some medical application with some medical research and collecting data about illnesses or something. This is how actually he did with his team. The top part is completely empty, but here you can see the action buttons on the very bottom. This is of course the text and the intro, and this is also the same application. Also, the top part is completely empty, but the bottom parts are actually the parts that you should care about. This is some application that from Al Jazeera, and he showed us like the same approach is actually here. The action buttons are on the very bottom. And the close button is here, where the area is not so easily to be reached. This is some data, blurry data. Maybe I should buy a new camera, I have no idea. But this is data of where the tablets are used, in what percent, and in what percent are not so used. In Asia, tablets are not so popular in comparison with Europe. In Europe, the highest percentage of usage actually is present in Europe regarding tablets. Yeah, as you can see, in Asia, the situation is not the same. And surprisingly, Android tablets are more popular than tablets from Apple family. Okay, these are the breakpoints that they are using when they want to achieve and when they want to have breakpoints, but currently they are doing a research how actually to avoid breakpoints in every cases, how actually to use only font and to use blocks to define them by percents, and to let the device to actually sort the blocks and fonts and text and everything by themselves. So, what we learned. These things you already know, but I will point like the common usage is portrait orientation. As I said before, one-handed grip of usage. Tabs drive 75% of interactions. Bottom controls are easier to reach, and therefore we should pay attention on that. And we should design for most constrained grips. So I will in following slides I will actually show you some examples how they translated from desktop to mobile their sites, and how actually the implementation of all that I showed you in previous slides. President of Russia. He showed us this example because, as he told us, if he's not honest, then I'm not too. Apparently, Russia and the government of Russia, they are investing a lot of money in UI research in general. And here on this site, you can find most of the trends that are implemented actually here on this site. And I'm inviting you to visit the site. In some cases it will be like confusing, but now I will point only things that are related to translation between desktop and mobile. This example. Okay, the text is like similar, it just, you know, flows. But here the most important thing is actually the button controls. They are on the very bottom. This button is actually if you want to show only text. This is if you want to show images. The video, the icon for video here is not active because there are no videos on this article in particular. And of course, icon for sharing. Here, as you can see, this is old design from Facebook, mobile app. This is mobile app, and this is like desktop view, and the things are slightly changed today, but the point is the same. Control buttons are actually on the bottom, but on desktop this is not the case because it's not necessary to have them there. This is actually the example how they listen to users' behavior and they actually apply them. This is also a Russian site for real estates, and it's very they played a lot on desktop version because they have a space for that. And these shapes are not random, but these shapes are actually the shape of real estate itself. So if you go to that site, pay attention on the first loading, you will have actually a map. You will see a map of the real estate and of the surface and the rooms and everything. But on mobile version, this is just a simple site as the most sites are. So they kept what is important. So if I go back, okay, I have image, text, all details that are important for the real estates. And here, yes, the case is the same, but because of not having enough space to play, as they did on desktop versions, they just kept the simplicity. This is also a site that is not common in our circles. So how they actually translated these notes and into a mobile version. This was a very complex task, but they actually achieved it successfully. So I point things that I noticed that they actually kept the same as on desktop version. For example, these notes are on the top, but as you can see, these things, okay, I missed the rectangle. This rectangle should be here. They moved it on the very bottom. This is actually how they translated these blocks into a mobile version, and I find this very interesting and complex. But he told us also that the most complex things to design as responsive ones is actually the buying tickets on stadiums, on theaters, or something else where you have a lot of seats, a lot of aisles, a lot of things actually to think about. So this example is example that he likes the most. So I will just show you. They actually allowed the zooming. So when you zoom, you have the zoom in is allowed, and when you zoom, you have you see everything. You can see, for example, that this seat is taken, but you can zoom more than that to see actually the notification that this seat is taken, or these seats, for example, 114A is the price is from $13 or something else. So this is something complex to reach. Also, I would add the maps for metro stations are also very complex, and probably you will notice that when you go into metro station, you have printed all the maps on the walls, and you can easily see, okay, I'm at the point A, I would like to go to point B, and you will manage. But you don't know, will you go, for example, near the river, or near some famous museum or bridge or whatever, because they actually don't care. Your main concern is to go from point A to point B. So we should also think about avoiding these details when we think about responsive things, because the situation is the same like as using underground transport. This is also example, like a hint. If you need to have all the articles, the most important one should be on the reachable, the easiest reachable area, because user will click on it. If everything is important, then you should consider using carousels. But here we have a car generator, and this is Ferrari, and you can play with other cars as well, expensive ones, of course. And if you go to this site, you have a lot of options. You can replace your wheels, you can replace you can choose a color, you can choose a material, a fabric for your seats. You can actually explore the reflection when it's dark or light or whatever. You can compare. For example, if you had chosen the blue, the dark blue, but you are thinking about using the red one, you can actually, by clicking on this icon, you can compare these shades. And they actually carconfigurator.com, they wanted to have it responsive. But how? How to implement all these things on mobile devices? So first of all, they did a research, and that research was actually the real one. They asked the real users who are willing to buy these expensive things, will they play on mobile devices with these expensive cars, and will they decide should they buy this or not, only by using mobile device? And their answer was no. So this example is actually that everything shouldn't be responsive, because their actually target audience will never use, maybe once, but second time they will go back and use desktop version for these things. So currently they don't have responsive version because their market is not for responsive solutions at all. So this is also something to think about. So what we learned. Like never hide important actions, define priorities, use tabs at the very bottom, and use show a list view for small tab areas, and show comparison and show actually products, because you should sell your products. Show them in a full screen. So that's because that's your chance actually to sell your product. So we are close to the end. We are close to the end. As a summary for all responsive things, and I didn't say much, I'm aware of it. I just, pointed to a few things just to think about. But the most important thing is speed and access and scale. Style and these like fancy designers things are going at the very end. So different views for iconographic, break down the complexity, prompt a list view for small tabs area, load maps, allow zoom in when it's necessary or don't allow it at all. And also you should consider to use, if you are using on desktop version, breadcrumbs. You can on mobile version, you can use them as tabs or accordions. This is like a material. I will not like this is a material that I encourage you to actually use, because he left us a lot of materials, and you will probably need a month to explore everything, maybe even more. And it's on Dropbox on this link, so use it in the if you want or not. This is a link for style guides that I actually didn't tackle here at all, but I think that this document that he shared is also useful, because the document contains all the patterns and all the elements that we are using on web, and the sources where you can find them, like good examples such as Bootstrap Foundation or a lot of different sites and a lot of different style guides. So this is useful if you like to see. And some slides, just to show you, because I like these sites. this is barbecue site. This is simply barbecue product, but they made like a huge story of this, and I actually encourage you to go to this site because you have clickable areas, and here if you click you actually see the sketches, how many pieces you can actually put on this barbecue, pieces of meat or of fish, the heat, temperature, the wheels. They made like an option to zoom in wheels. They actually made a story of everything that's so obvious. So they are very good as sellers. I don't know about the quality, but for example, the mobile version also they are following the latest research, and the action is on bottom. This is also one of the examples, the funny one. Maybe most of you heard about these hostels in Amsterdam, and now the same hostels are in Lisbon. This is example how the bad commercial can sell things, and you will laugh. I didn't put here funny images, but I encourage you to visit this site, and you will laugh. Trust me. This is also example of using different shapes, but this is also a simple carousel like every other. So it's just because of the restaurant. This is they follow like that shape of the restaurants. And this is like the latest video of Ryanair Airlines. I did a little simulation how actually they did a form, and this is very like interesting. So let me, okay. This is okay. So here we see, like in Serbia, you have only airport in Niš, and they switched immediately to the destination. So here, okay, I want to choose a date. The first one is available on 16th, and they moved me immediately to the flyback. The only thing, only time when I had to actually click is when I wanted to choose. This is quick, but okay. How can I? Yeah, the only time when I actually needed to click is when I had to start filling the destination and everything. Everything else I didn't click except to choose the passengers, and that's like it's very smooth, and you actually you're not aware that you are moved to another input field, and this is nice user experience. I consider it nice. So I'm aware that I went through a lot of slides. I was quick, but I hope that you understood me at least 50%. So do you have any questions, or are you sleeping?
Everyone's still awake here.
Okay.
Yelena,
Yes.
I had a couple of questions. Probably these will be obvious for the UI guys, so apologies. When you were talking about typography, and there's of course a lot of different units which can be OZM, PX, PT. I mean, is there like a particular unit which is suggested to achieve a good size on each device? And in line with that, you showed us picture where there were the same fonts appearing with the same physical absolute size on all screens?
Yes.
A question of it was, I believe, even before where you had the tablet and that one.
Yeah.
Is it a question of relative or absolute size when it comes to fonts? Because I believe it would make sense that the font appear kind of with a relative size which corresponds to the screen size you have.
Well, actually, this is absolute size. This is absolute size, but they wanted to adjust to a different screens, and that was like, this was an example how not to do anymore, because that was done in terms of sometimes, okay, on the walls, if you're using projector and everything, they are doing that for you. But this is not the same size. And they actually measured the size on the walls, on the tablets, on the phones. So in some cases, if you are using absolute font sizes, you can expect this to happen. For example, to have, not actually this, but if you are using absolute sizes, in order to reach pixel perfection on all devices, and in some cases that's the bad practice. For example, let me okay, I have, for example, I have issue with I don't know, iPhone 7. My font is not is hidden, for example, and then I will as a fix and dirty bug, I will go and set a breakpoint and define, okay, use here 13.04 font size in order to show my font completely. And that's like the bad practice we should avoid. So that's the thing why they want to actually why they want to have a formula that will do everything for them. But although that will be good for typography, and you will have relative sizes, and that will be all perfect and shiny, but you will have to think about the blocks and about the fitting everything, because in that case we will not have like excuse, okay, that's because of that evil device that I have.
But isn't there a particular unit which would give you a good size on the majority of devices? Like I mentioned, XDM.
These days, the best practice is like to use RAMs and DEMs. The difference between two of them actually is very small. The behavior is the same on desktop devices, but for example, the catch on mobile devices is if user set on their device to use larger font size, because I don't know, they don't want to wear glasses, the size will increase on your site as well, because you used RAMs, and that measurement will follow what users set on their device. So that's like the main difference between RAMs and DEMs. But they are fluid, and or if you don't like RAMs or AMs, the better practice is to use percents than pixels. And if you are using, for example, that's now I'm talking from my experience. If you are using percents, you have to define, like on your body font size, you have to define like the base. As for example, paragraph is 16 pixels, but that's like font size is 100%. For others, for example, next paragraph will be 100%. If I want to use like small font size, I will not set, for example, 12 pixels, but I will set 80% of that 16 pixels.
So there are ways around actually having to do such complex calculations just to set a font size?
Yes, yes. I work on these calculations. I can share with you later regarding this CCBill style guide. I actually calculated how many, because the plan is to go with AMS in the future, but currently all projects are they're using pixels. So I actually did the research and I calculated font sizes, how many pixels. If I'm using pixels for everything, how can I translate that to amps regarding in terms of font size and also the leading space between like font height between rows in the text. So I can share with you that also, if you are interested.
Another question which I had, a lot of the responsive which you've shown us, like the logos and typography, etc., those are pretty much styled via CSS to switch from a desktop to a mobile view. But when it comes to tables, where you need to reorder some content, that would actually require a change of your markup, or it's just still entirely CSS?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Here, in this case, you don't have to. But for example, when I showed like Swiss Airlines, you have to. And let me show you Swiss Airlines.
Just to clarify, because you mentioned you have maybe perhaps some issues with PNTP, but we've already actually adopted the first example there in PNTP. So our tables are actually responsive in that method. To answer Clayton's question, yeah, it's through CSS that the behaviors of the cells are changed.
Basically, where you can you have the headers of the cells. But then those are hidden. Like magic happens. But through CSS only. Yeah, but the markup has changed. No, it's through CSS. You just show and hide something, but through CSS only. But the HTML remains the same. So the reading is different. So like with the DR. But would there be actually added would there actually be a PH tag or not? Yes. The norm is basic HTML pages, but then you just second it through CSS. You target it through CSS.
The norm is TH would appear like the top, but then you change the CSS of the behavior of the TH, which would make it appear like vertical. Okay. So the text association, basically they're just defining literally the data, just the message capability. Okay.
But we're inserting a breakpoint, and at that moment it changes through that breakpoint.
This is able to win this and basically
okay, thanks that.
I would just like to add, this is not just like pure CSS designing. For example, in this slide, this is actually a lot of planning and a lot of sketching, and I think it is very hard to leave that only to one person to decide, okay, what cell should I put on top and what column or row should I put on left or right. This is not an easy way to tackle tables, but as you can see, it's great, but it requires a lot of planning, research, and discussions. That's my personal
design process,
opinion.
I think, in general. But I mean, this approach is different from what the previous is, I think. This would actually be a different table altogether, correct? Or yeah, and this would be like a second approach, I guess, and where the mobile view would be completely different than the desktop, no? Is there two separate tables altogether? Or is the markup, it's two different markups?
I believe this is, yeah, everything is different. It's not the same like in previous, it's not the same approach. It's not the same. Yeah, and here on this one, they just hidden. Yeah, some columns are just hidden. So, but yeah, this is expensive. This is like expensive to develop, but this is good solution. That's my personal, yeah. If you are reaching for quality, we should maybe think about these kinds of approaches. Maybe. Don't hate me. Yeah, that's.
Like mobile browser sometimes implements a feature like show mobile view, which would pretty much discard all your styling and try to style it in a responsive way. I don't think in the case of PNCB, since it's not really static, this would be something which is kind of too. Like, how would this affect responsive, especially maybe for static sites?
How can you have a responsive?
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Basically extract the text, extract everything it sees, insert hierarchy, and just strip out all the unnecessary styles.
That was pretty much
something that PNCB. I don't think we have a type of semantic approach to it.
Some people say because there's action buttons.
I mean, PNCB is more of a tool, it's more of like an app than it is like an article. And also like what Yelena mentioned about the Ferrari site and how people, I think, interact with PNCB. Our audience we have to design for an audience, I think, which would probably be more comfortable performing operations on a desktop rather than a mobile.
I think we're done. Questions, yeah.
Okay. Did I answer your questions?
So much.
Okay. So yeah, because Joe mentioned the Ferrari site, and as a conclusion, we just that's also my personal opinion. We just need to dedicate our time more to a research if we actually need responsive things or we don't, because it's not like, okay, the responsive is trendy now and it's like let's have it, but if it's not like our goal, if it's not useful for our customers, then maybe we should not consider it at all. But that's not just like, okay, it's not to have that as our call. That call should come from a lot of research and experimentations and something like that. But yeah, that's like, because we are doing for our audience, not for the whole world. So that's like. That's my answer.
About there was a screen that you showed where the critical operations need to be laid out, and there was kind of like a flow graph, I think, of the user's thumb, where his thumb could reach. That's it. Those ones in particular.
Okay.
They factor in scrolling. Is scrolling an issue here? Like, for instance, if your site... No, but I mean, if your operations are actually like, if they can actually be within scrolling, is that factored in?
Here, thank you, Joe. Regarding scrolling, and if you are, yes, that's a very good question. I forgot to mention that. Regarding that scrolling, and if you want, for example, if you put here in that green area, for example, buy button, make your purchase button, then you will have maybe something bought by accident or something clicked by accident. So in that case, you need to do another research, what actually you want to achieve. Do you want that user click that by accident, because this is very easy to be reached, and only by pure scrolling you can click something by accident. And now I just did the same thing on my this morning on my mobile phone. When I went to Facebook app, I wanted to scroll, and then I clicked by accident on share. On share button, and I believe you had the same experience at least once. And then, okay, what I want, and at that time I didn't even know what I wanted to share, because I didn't want to share anything. I just wanted to scroll down and see what's going on. So I think that Facebook here probably make that by, not by accident, put here that button, but by with purpose to increase the sharing of the sharing content of the Facebook, and probably of that's marketing trick, I believe so. So you can this research and this easy scrolling, it can go in as a positive side if you want to use it like that, or as a negative. If you put, for example, a negative example, if you put here in this area, if you put like log out floating button, user will log out and maybe he won't come back ever again. So
maybe people just put it in the OK section. And also, I mean, would it matter if the user is left or right-handed? I guess that would should.
So if the user is left or right-handed, right? I think you said it would flip, like the zone would flip, or like mirror.
Yes, it will reflect. So the most active area for both sides is actually here in the middle. Because if you just flip, because I don't know in the world how many left-handed or right-handed persons we have, but this is like in the middle. That's the reason why actually we have at the middle login button, at the middle buy button, at the middle. It's not on the top right corner or top left corner. That's just obvious thinking.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's been very interesting and well done.
Thanks. Thanks. And I really encourage you to check these materials and these links that I left here in the presentation because there are a lot of things that I actually didn't mention at all, unfortunately. Otherwise, you will be, sleeping definitely. Okay. Thank you all.
Just replying and just sending the links to the presentation and the video, right? Then at some point.
Okay. I will during the day.
Thanks again, Elena. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.